Hello everyone, thank you very much for joining me today, and I've got some tips on choreography. So self-choreography is what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to start right at the beginning, so this is probably a little bit more suited to our younger students at the Jayne Dancing School, and also some of the older ones you may want to have a little listen to me, and you may learn something that you might not have thought of before. So first of all, we're going to talk about choosing a piece of music. Now, obviously this can be for ballet dance, a modern dance, a tap dance, song and dance, even national if you want to, or a character. So choose a piece of music that inspires you. Choose a piece of music that gets you excited. Choose a piece of music that makes you think, oh, I really want to dance to this. I really want to make up a dance. I can remember when I was younger, I used to spend hours and hours and hours playing records and dancing up and down the living room, and thinking, oh, I'm going to do 10 dances for our choreography competition next year. I used to love entering the choreography competition. I did have the help of my mum, who would write down my steps, and therefore by doing this she was able to make sure that I did the same thing every time I practiced. So one thing to remember is that your mum can be your friend on this and not annoy you, and she can actually write down, make notes of what you're doing. She doesn't need to know the names of the proper steps. Basically, if you're going to skip to the front for 8 counts, then that's what she's got to write down. Or she might write down, waft your right arm and then your left arm. It might help younger ones to practice their own choreography and get something structured, rather than just doing something different each time they practice. So once you've got your piece of music, you're then going to make sure that it's the time limit that you want it to be. So if you're given 2 minutes, you don't need to use a full 2 minutes if that's your time limit. Sometimes shorter is better, and I do see lots of dances that I think to myself, oh, that would have been better if it had finished about 30 seconds ago. So don't feel the need to fill in 2.5 minutes or 2 minutes. I think probably the minimum amount of time that you could do an item for would be perhaps, say, 1 minute 10 seconds, 1 minute 15. So just don't feel the need to go on and on and on with it just because the music is going on and on. You might be able to edit your music to the right length, and you might be able to cut out a bit in the middle, and you might be able to join it back up again if you've got some software on your computer. And the more you do this, the more you practice editing music, the better you'll become with it. So you can download some editing software onto your computer and have a little go at editing music. And if your music hasn't got a really good ending on it, then you can always nick an ending from another piece of music, or it might be later on in that piece that it's just too long. So you can actually stick the proper ending on the end once you've cut out a bit in the middle. So we're going to start to talk now about starting place on the stage. You can either start on stage in a starting position, or you can start off stage, where when the music starts you will come onto the stage dancing. So make the decision where you want to start your dance, whether it's off stage or on stage. So if you're starting on stage, make sure that your starting position is pleasing to look at. So something to get the audience interested straight away. In other words, don't have a starting position standing with your feet in first and your arms in bra bar, like you're in your ballet class waiting to start your exercises. So think of something a little bit more creative, and you can probably look on YouTube and see some really nice starting positions and ending positions. So you want to set your starting position first, and then moving on, you're going to think about a pattern that you're going to make on the stage. So we all don't have really dance studios, do we, at home, or a space that's as big as a dance studio. So we're in our living rooms at home, or we might be out in the garden, and try not to stay in one place, in the centre. You want to move your dance around and make patterns. So you can make circles, you can go to a corner and move from one corner diagonally across to the other corner. You can move backwards, you can move sideways. So you need to think about making a pattern and not just having your dance on the spot. The next thing is, try not to use exercises that you've learnt in your ballet class, because a lot of them don't really look very entertaining when they're done as part of a dance on the stage. Once again, try not to stand with your feet in first and do knee bends. I know a lot of the younger ones haven't got a great repertoire of steps yet, but standing in first and doing some knee bends is just a little bit boring. You could jazz them up perhaps by using some nice arms while you do the knee bends. That would look a little bit better. So think about some of the more dancey steps that you can choreograph into your work. It's not really a good idea to perhaps do like a chassé set exercise, because again that is an exercise in class, and don't do any of the steps really that you do on the bar. For example, you don't want to stand there in your dance doing battement tendus en croix. So you've got to be a little bit more creative than that, and a little bit more dancey and artistic. So artistry, presentation goes a long way when you're choreographing for yourself. So we're now going to talk about making pictures. Make pictures that look nice for your audience to see. Think about if you were in the audience and what you would like to see. Listen really hard to your music and dance to the dynamics of the music. When I'm examining, I very often see children on the stage and their music is soft and gentle, or it might be a lyrical dance where they are dancing to a ballad, and in the middle of it they do a leap, and there's no actual leap in the music, and that I don't think really shows that the performer is listening to the music. So listen hard to your music, and you'll be able to recognise when it's time to do some jumps, or when it's time to do a cartwheel, or when it's time to do a leap. So listen hard to your music and interpret the music well. Moving on to modern dance. In the last probably 8 to 9 years, we've seen a lot of tricks being included in modern solos, and it's something as examiners that we don't really want to see. A modern dance should have exactly that in it, modern dancing. It's fine to incorporate perhaps the splits once, or maybe one cartwheel, but make sure it's not looking a bit like an acro dance. You want pure modern dance and maybe the odd trick. If you're looking at doing a song and dance, then it's really important that your song section is equal in length and standard to the dance section. So you're looking at half and half, very roughly, half and half of song and then half and half of dance. Some of you may be better at singing than you are at dancing, or you may be better at dancing than you are at singing. You've got to try and even it out, try and balance it out so that both halves are equal in standard. The other thing about song and dance is that the dance section should carry off the theme or the character of the song. It should portray the character of the song or the nature of the song. For example, if you're singing a song from the film Pocahontas, you should obviously be dressed appropriately, and your dance should be Pocahontas style dance, Red Indian dance. The same as, for example, if you're doing a song and dance from Oliver, and if you're Nancy singing Papa, then your dance has got to be characterised to suit the part of Nancy. Finally, with song and dances, come back at the end and sing just 2 or 3 lines to finish the song and dance up. So you're going to sing, then you're going to dance, and then the last couple of lines of the song, come back with it and finish. It makes a really good ending to come back to the song if you can. We're going to move on now to talking about rehearsing. Now obviously the more you practice, the better your choreography is going to be. The more you practice, you'll be able to spend time thinking about facial presentation, which is so important. Lots of you, I know, are thinking so hard inside your head that we've got a rather concentrated look on your faces. And some of you are concentrating so hard, you're looking down at the floor, rather than presenting out to your audience. If you're younger, try not to look at your mum in the audience or your dad, and if you're a parent, make sure that you're not in a position for your child to look at you. It's not really a good idea to sit in the front row, because with a young student they will definitely look to you. This can help, but I've also seen where it can put the student off completely and they lose their dance. So make sure you're not visible, parents. You can help by encouraging them to practice at home and to become really confident with their routines that they've made up. The most important thing is to dance to the music and to use your creativity. Now when you're listening to the music and you're putting dance to it, try not to leave any gaps in your routine where you're standing waiting for the music. Your dance should flow and each step should join the next one. So it should be a chain of steps put together that flow. If you're waiting on stage for the music, it looks like you're waiting for the music and the whole audience is waiting with you. So try to not leave any gaps in the choreography. When we're talking about putting steps to music, obviously we're counting in groups of 8 most of the time, and for younger students you can vary your choreography by perhaps not doing 8 skips, but maybe do 6 skips and then add on 2 jumps at the end. Or if you're an older student, you can use those 8 by doing 2 steps, 4 steps, and then another 2 steps. So change it up a bit. Don't think to yourself, right, I'm going to do 8 of these, 8 of those, 8 spring points, 8 jumps, 8 skips, and then 8 gallops. So try and change it up a little bit so that the audience isn't going to sit there watching you do 8 or 32 skips around the stage. You can be creative by picking some ideas up from YouTube. I know that a lot of ballerinas on YouTube are way above perhaps the standard of some of our seniors, but you can still get some great ideas for steps and then you can adapt them so that you can do them. I've done this a few times. I've seen a move that I've watched a professional ballet dancer do in a ballet, and I've thought, I really like that. I've gone into class and then I've just adapted it and made it a little bit simpler for our dancers to be able to do. And that brings me on to performing your steps really well. If you're choosing steps like pirouettes or leaps, only put them in your dance if you can do them really well. Don't put a double pirouette in there if you can't hit it every single time, because you can bet that you'll be on stage and that you won't hit it and then it'll be messy. We much rather see dancers using steps that they can perform technically really very well. think about technique, think about your stretch and your turnout, and also think about holding yourselves really, really well. Now, you might think to yourself that I'm talking mostly about ballet, but I'm not. It applies to every type of choreography that you can have a go at. So technique, really, really good technique, and follow it up by your superb presentation, your JMDS face and your JMDS smile. At the end of the day, we just want you to be creative and we want you to have fun. And the more you practice on your own at home, dancing around to music just for fun, you will find that your choreography skills improve and get better. Have a go at the choreography competition if you've never done it before. It's a really, really lovely afternoon, and if you're a bit nervous, then just come along and watch it, hopefully in November when we have our choreography competition. Come along and see what the children do, and that will inspire some of our younger ones and some of the older ones that don't often have a go at it too. So come along and have a watch and get creative and get choreographing. See you soon, and thanks very much for listening. Bye.